All right. Hello, 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 hello. Okay. I kind of want to do something. I've been working on a model the last two streams, but I'm pivoting because I kind of got re-inspired by an old '80s movie again. For me, as being a child of the '80s, Short Circuit, Johnny Number Five's alive, and I kind of wanted to just use him as a little bit of an inspiration for something that I've been bouncing around in my head. So I'm gonna make my own little Johnny Number Five type of model. I'm not looking to do exactly like him. I'm looking more for something that kind of inspired by him. And obviously, if you watch that movie and look, you know what also he reminds me of was Wall-E, right? The very kind of similar thought process. So in essence, that like taking some inspiration, we all do it. Taking some things that we want to do. So I'm just gonna do like a bust. I'm just gonna work on that, just some kind of bust of him. I think it would be fun maybe to just kind of put that all together and go from there. Okay. So I'm going to start because I have an idea too, because I'm going to put him like in some kind of jacket or something is what's in my head right now. So I'm going to start with this. And let's start getting rid of things I don't need. So I'm going to come out of perspective, turn off the floor grid for now. I don't need the subdivision levels, but I'll keep the smoothness for now. And let's just start getting rid of some stuff that I definitely don't need, that I don't plan to use. So we'll start with that. So let's start getting rid of some things here. So I'm just going to get rid of the arms. I don't need them. I don't need the waist there. That's enough. Okay, for me. Now let's go ahead and do some Odana. Odana. Again, as I'm going along here, I will constantly be looking up at my chat. So if you guys do have questions, I will constantly be looking at those questions for you as we move along. I'm going to Dynamesh this now because I'm planning to do some fun just design. I'm going to go into a little bit. So I'm click and dragging from the resolution. And that's looking at the polygon size underneath my cursor right now. Okay, and then that size of the polygon is making the resolution change. And then what that's pretty much telling us, like if I come down here, see the resolution is at 440. That's going to tell this, hey, this model just go across the whole body with this polygon size, right? If I come up here, it's going to be a little more dense. I'm going to live, that's fine. I'm going to live in that world because I'm actually going to cut the head off as well because we want to start making some kind of mech head. All right, so I am looking at, I'm going to do just the head for now because I like to use the neck kind of, since I'm doing some kind of humanoid robotic thing, I'm going to keep a little bit of this humanoid element to us. And I don't need the head, okay? So, but in order to do that, I'm going to first just append a cube, okay? And I'm going to rename this main head. Okay, and one sec. Looks like one of my little friends here, one of my little dogs. The dogs I have here at my house wants to come in. She wants to come in and see, checking out. So she's scratching at my door. Okay, so I'm gonna take this cube, and again, looking at this cube is gonna be what's gonna become the head of what I'm gonna start to make. Okay, so I'm going to kind of just position this because I find for hard surface the number one thing to do is find some kind of element to the model that is really the driving force, right? That is really going to be, in essence, your key. Like that we have in human bodies, we have keys. We have things like the eyes. We know that there's 3 eyes total across from the end of one eye to the other eye. You can actually fit another eye in the middle of the two. Our foot is from the elbow to our wrist is actually the size of our foot. Like there's so many things that we have that we don't have hard surface. We just don't, right? Okay, so I'm going to use the head right now kind of as a actual, hey, this is kind of how big I want this base head to be of this character. So just, it helps me just right out the gate get some proportions down that I want. Again, it's hard surface, so I'm going to be deviating from this eventually, right, a little bit. And it's just going to help me think, okay, do I want to go this big? All right, good. Now, I can definitely keep this. In some cases, it would be recommended to do this. And if you want to, what I'm meaning is I can duplicate this, okay? I'm going to turn that one off. Let's make a folder. And I'm going to call this head parts in the folder. And this is that. And then this is just going to be renamed body. I'll just rename it body right now. And then now this is now where I'll start going, okay, this, I definitely don't want the head anymore. Like, right? This has got to be gone because the head that I'm going to make is going to be up here, okay? The resolution technique is not possible on the iPad. Not right now, no. It's not possible on the iPad. It's something we still need to implement. Yeah. Good question. All right. And I know in my head, in fact, I think already this is a little too thick from where I want to go. I want to go more in that round. I think that looks better. Okay. And so the neck, obviously, is too wide for the character I'm making. So now what I want to do is, okay, if I'm saying this is going to be, in essence, the main part of his head, I want to start now designing from here and going, okay, looking at Short Circuit as a little bit of some inspiration here, right? Just some general idea here, okay, of what I'm going to be doing. Okay, I'm going to now, let's turn on Polyframe. We're going to Dynamesh this as well. So I'm going to Dynamesh that up. Okay, I say 128 is too low for what we're working with right now. Let's see what 1,000. Okay, that's good enough. I don't need anything crazy good. So I'm going to say, okay, here, let's go like here. Okay, and go right about maybe in there. I'm going to Control W, and in essence, the masked version up here, I want to be different polygroups, okay? And I'm going to turn on this groups options now, and I'm going to re-Dynamesh. What that does is each polygroup is being maintained as a separate piece of geometry for Dynamesh. So the welding is not happening for me in the sense that that green cube is not welding into the blue cube. Which I want this. I want this. This is one of the key things for me for hard surface. This is how I design fast and maybe look about my iteration and what I want to do and go from there. I'm glad, Charlie, you recognize Johnny number 5. I'm bringing him back, baby. I'm bringing him back. Okay, he's going to be a little bit of some inspiration for me. Okay, so before I even get into the head, I've got kind of, in essence, the main structure of Johnny. Now I want to move into the neck and move into the torso. I think this is the biggest mistakes that people use when they start doing hard surface. We kind of walk away from what we do organically. Where organically we are, like, you know, when we're sculpting a face and we start with a sphere, we start shaping everything. We start putting our eyes and things where they need to be. And hard surface, we don't do that. So I'm going to make sure I do that. So I'm going to say, okay, I want this to be here. So I'm holding Control. And then clicking on the arrow, and which will duplicate anything that's en masse, in this case, both cubes. I'm going to replace this. I'm going to do a cylinder. I'm going to do this cylinder. I'm going to up so it's a lot more smooth. And then go, okay, let's do this. And again, I could do this with like clean topology, but I'm just going to try and be as fast as I can a little bit here. All right, and then I want that. Okay, so if we look now at Johnny, right? He's got some kind of thing that is his neck. This is these pistons. I think I'm going to play with that. I'm going to put pistons in my guy too. I'm going to make his eyes big and round like that. That's where my inspiration in Johnny number 5 is going to come from. But I'll probably veer off a little bit here and there. Okay, and so it needs to come down here into the neck base, right? Okay, I'm going to go a little bit, say, all right, let's think about this. I could probably do this and say, okay, this is kind of now a neck piece that I can start building off of for this guy. I'm going to go a little bit, I don't want it to be as, I don't think as long as him. And then I'm going to Control W so I can Dynamesh that, okay? Right, now looking at this is also why I like to work this way. Realistically, what I'm doing, we look at it organizationally, I've got this one subtool with these pieces. I'm kind of using the polygroups as like subtools within the same subtool. Because at any time I can mask off one subtool, I can duplicate that, do whatever I want, right? So in essence, what I'm saying now is this, I want it to now move this whole neck portion I'm starting to build the head. I want it to kind of be a little bit more here. Or Am I looking for maybe something here? We'll mask this off. And am I looking for, okay, let's do this and let's do that. And then it actually has a 45-degree joint in the neck. Like, do I want to do maybe something more like, and then his neck can kind of do this stuff. Maybe, do I want that? I don't know yet. And this is what I mean by let yourself experiment and let yourself play here, right? And so sometimes I don't know I want that until I start building things. So again, I'm gonna inverse my masking and Control W so that that cylinder gets a different poly group. Because again, I don't want any of this stuff to weld yet. I don't want any of that to start happening, okay, for me. I'm going to come back here and say, all right, if we're going to go this route, let's go ahead and come in here and say, all right, we're going to need some kind of mechanism that sells this ability for the head to do that. So obviously a cylinder makes the most sense here. I got to go with a larger cylinder so that both elements, and then not so wide, and here, right? And then this is where, is it too big? And then now this is where I go, okay, this big to me is too much. And then this is the kind of stuff I start looking at here too. So let's actually move this image down here, because I really like to use this as a point. And let's make the opacity of all these images be 100%. There we go. All right, so right now I'm not a fan of that silhouette, but I now know I definitely don't want any of this neck, right? So I want to cut this off. Like, let's just get rid of this completely, because this is now what I'm going to be building also other things off of, is this body, right? Okay. So then that way, really, which is making me laugh right now, I'm looking at this silhouette, right? I'm really trying to figure out, is this the way? And then I'm not right now liking this, so I'm definitely going to recenter there. And again, I can use, because this is a separate piece of geometry and its own poly group, I can use this to my benefit with this and say, I probably want something, I'm going to go something a little bit smaller. Do I want to go, like, how small do I want to go? Do I want to go like that, and then tapering is going to happen? I think I want to go a little bit bigger. Like, I think I want to be around that level right now. Okay. It's good enough, right? And again, see how this is the same two poly groups? This is my point. You don't want these to be the same poly group, okay? That's a no-no, okay? I want to then select this and grow only this out and Control W that so it's a different poly group, so that when I do this Dynamesh, if I don't like this, it's an easy thing for me to get rid of. I don't like this, I can get rid of it at any point in time. Right now, I'm just trying to come up with some kind of different mech guy that I'm trying to put together right now. That's all I'm trying to do. Yes, I'm always looking at what other people are doing, what you guys are doing artistically. Yeah, there are things that we're going to do and then we have plans for. I couldn't really discuss our future developments, but I do know obviously you guys want to have continuing to push in the element of our lighting and materials. All I can tell you is, yeah, it's something I would like to look into for sure one of these days. We'll just have to find where it's going to fit within our pipelines and workflows of things that we're already working on, right? So, but you never know. I never say no to anything. But, you know, obviously right now we have Redshift is integrated into ZBrush, and then you have ZBrush BPR render. But yeah, I hear what you want. Definitely, and I'll be taking a look at stuff like that. All right. So I now want to start creating kind of like a little bit different body piece. And what I'm going to use now instead is I'm going to switch now to a different technique. I'm going to Control W this because I'm only looking at this. And I'm going to switch now to just sculpturally doing some stuff with this guy. Okay? And not being this. So I kind of like this idea. I'm kind of liking this idea. All right? I don't know about doing something where it like comes here and comes across like this. I think that would be a little bit cooler. And I think I'm going to go more with, okay, let's stick with the world of more of hard surface. And I'm going to just go, I'd rather go straight across. So there's an angle there. I kind of do like, though, the roundness that's happening here through here. Like, that's interesting. I'm all right with that. I'm digging that. I'm liking that. Okay, so I definitely want to kind of accent this thought process a little bit more. Like, and then it comes in and rounds around like this, right? Thinking about this. And then now looking at this, I want to accent that even more now. All right, so we'll Dynamesh that. So we'll clean it up. And of course now she wants to leave. Oh, of course, Pepper, go on. Well, now my dog wants out. She's like, I don't like what you guys are doing. I don't like what you're making, Paul. Get out of here. All right, so I'm going to switch to ZModeler. I'm going to hover over a face. And I'm going to say polygroup. I'm going to say flat island. And I'm going to tap and make a polygroup here. Okay, to me, that is good enough for what I'm planning to do down the line here. Okay. But what I can do also, if I want to even, what I'm hoping to do here, is I am going to now say, let's take this and make a mask of it. And then let's slice it based upon that mask. Right? So what I have now is a different set of polygroupings. Okay? And what I've done is sliced it. And I'm going to make these two. I'm going to make this actually one polygroup now. And have this. And now I'm going to go brush and smooth. But I am going to pick a different smoothing brush. I am going to put this at the number 9, which is smoothing groups. Because I'm going to smooth this up even more a little bit right in here. Right? And say, yes, let's go through here. And then it rounds off nicely. Okay? And this ridge is what I kind of want to start creating for a reason, what's in my head. Again, this kind of came to after I started playing. This is not necessarily was even in my original thought process of making this guy. But now that I'm kind of seeing things, I'm starting to, things pop out for me. Okay? So, we've got this now. I got a clean slice edging through there. Okay? So, what I'm going to do is use this to my benefit even a little bit more. Is there a more streamlined to work in just polygroups compared to separate subtools? Well, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm using polygroups more as like a sculpting technique, if that's what you're referring to. But I would want you, if that's really what you're asking, I would love to know that. And then share that with me so I can really make sure I'm landing what you're thinking. Okay? So I'm going to say, let's take this. And with Control-Shift-X, every time I tap on the X key, we kind of grow out. All right? And then I'm going to say, let's make that a new polygroup. Then I'm going to grow more. And then I'm going to say, let's make now this pink a new polygroup. Okay, so now we have something like this. So again, now if I hold the Shift key, I can really now make a smoothing here. All right? But I do have the ability that when I'm doing this, I could just mask out this portion. And instead of doing by hand, there is this route where I can just slide this slider across and it'll do it. If I open the circle, it'll get even more aggressive. Okay, something like this. It's very aggressive. Be aggressive. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, it's a little too aggressive. This is kind of why I'm doing with hand. So in my head, I see more of, now that I have this, I kind of like the straightness and roundness happening here. I kind of want here, though, to kind of be a little bit more sharping. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to switch to my slicing curve. And I'm going to make a slice right across here, okay, as an example. And I'm going to say, let's just slice right across here. And then I'm going to go like this. So we create that. All right, and then now I'm going to mirror and weld this over so I get the other side. Okay, because what I want is, and then I'm going to come back here and see that I got a little issue right here where I want that green and that green, in essence, to be the same polygroup. Okay, but not at the front point here, right? I kind of want to keep this how I got it going right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use ZModeler again. And I'm just going to copy this other green polygroup and then give that. And in fact, I'm also going to do this. Just make this even a little bit more known, matter of fact for me. Okay. And this is now, when I go to smooth, right, this is going to create like a flat plane right here. And then in here, it's going to keep this kind of flat. So if I was to do something like this, right, I am now creating a little flat area right in there. It's kind of what I want. Okay, but really I'll even just go even one more step here. Let's Control W that. And let's now actually just make this. Okay, my keyboard's acting funny. Control W that. And then back here, I want, oops, this and this to be the same polygroup. Okay. And then looking at this now, the more I think about it though, I kind of liked a little bit more of that ridge now that I think about it. So I think I might keep those for now. I'm gonna keep that for now. I'm gonna maintain there for now. And then I'm gonna take this, mask this off, and push this in. Because I want this to be kind of the neck kind of sits in there. We'll turn off symmetry. Then I can make this be kind of tapered in a little bit. A little bit more. Okay, something like this. Then I'm going to take this. Again, we'll turn on the polyframes. Control W that, so it becomes a different polygroup. I'm going to go ahead and make this have more geometry right now. So I'm going to insert multiple edge loops. I'm going to keep the polygroup because I don't want this polygroup I just made to change. So I'm going to kind of get it more dense and be in the same realm as the other stuff, okay? All right, so one I'm thinking is this is going to be starting now, that part where the neck connects into the body, and now let's start sculpturally also thinking about this. So I'm going to start using H-polish, and I'm going to put a jacket on him, so some of this stuff's going to get lost, so I just want to kind of build some structure of him here. All right, let's see who we got. We got questions coming through. How can we learn hard surface at a level where we can create anything from a simple game asset to a very, very, very complex? Because I like use Maya for base meshing and then ZBrushing. Okay, like this, what I'm doing now would be, no matter what industry you're in or what, like this workflow I'm giving you right now that I am doing would be a way to learn hard surface and go about this. It's all about simplifying it. That's my biggest thing, is try to simplify the hard surface. Don't, again, look, my head is not anything special right now. There's nothing nitty gritty about my head right now, right? Absolutely nothing, okay? So don't get consumed is what I say the biggest thing for hard surface. I'm not trying to make this look immediately. I'm just trying to get some structure here of what I want this guy probably to have and on him, okay? And we're going from there. I'm new to ZBrush, so I've been using only subtools, and this way seems so much of a cleaner subtool palette compared to my long list of them. I'm not good with polygroups. Well, hopefully this stream helps you, John, to go through the process here, because I will separate the heads out and start making subtools, but right now I'm at the very beginning stage where I'm just trying to make a guy, right? I'm just trying to build something here. But right now, the biggest thing, again, I see is everyone dives right in the head immediately, and I moved on, because now I want the rest of the body to kind of take shape. So I want to start, like, what am I going to make this? Like, I'm not going complete Johnny number 5 alive, right? Definitely, I'm not doing that. I'm going to make my own character that I am going to use kind of what I think would be cool for me to start playing with and looking at, right, as a character. Okay, like this. I kind of, now I want this to build up through here. Let's do a very, maybe a smoother plane. Do I want to come this route where I want a defining plane shift right there? Do I want, you know what? I'm making a decision. Yes, I do. I want a nice plane shift there. Okay, now here's something that we can do. We're going to turn this on. Okay, we're going to have this. I'm going to combine a couple things here that is possible for us to play with here. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to open up polygrouping. And down here, there's a button that says Group Changed Points. So when I click that, it actually masks off every vertex point that I've done, right? So these are things you want to do. We also have this in masking. So if I go to masking, all right, I can do the same thing. I mask change points, and then it'll mask off. And what I'm going to do is I can open this up and then do this, and you can see it kind of gives me the mask of the points that I've been using with this brush. Okay, there's things where I can take advantage of that, where if I'm only doing this little bit of sculpting, and if I do this, you see I'm going to get a mask there immediately, and then Control W creates a polygroup. So think about this kind of stuff as well, where I can build this surface up, okay? Right now, I like, okay, I want this. I like this plane shift. I want to keep this kind of as one big element right here. Okay, this I don't like. For me, I'm thinking, I think I want to go straight across. I don't know until I do it. So I'm just going to use my pinch brush to kind of come straight across and see, do I want something more like that? Then it comes across here and then comes straight up like that. And then that means this needs to be a lot more. And then this is where I would read Dynamesh, right? Because I want to have a little bit more control here. So I'm going to come straight across. I'm going to come and say, let's come straight across. And then I don't want that, right? I want an angle. So I'm going to turn on lazy mouse. Okay. And I'm going to say, let's go from here to here to here. And then hit the 1 key and just ZBrush will keep doing that for me. Okay, that's kind of the line that I kind of want for this guy right now. All right, and then go back to H polish and kind of now really hit that shape a little bit more. Kind of what I do want there. Right, and then this a little bit more there. I like this plane shift that I'm starting to do in here. I'm going to keep that plane shift. It comes up into here. Right, and then I am now seeing this as my chess piece. Right, this is what I'm starting to visualize as the piece that I want, that I'm going to start working on, right? Okay, and I'm going to go Damien Standard. Let's use this brush to kind of even help me define a little bit of where I want this to look like, right? And again, I'm planning to put a jacket on him. So I'm not going to spend too crazy amount of time in this area because I know I am going to probably cover most of this up. But I think this is part of the journey, personally, is really figuring this out. And I'm just using kind of this brush to actually be defining planes on the model, more or less. Okay, and I kind of like this. And so I'm going to, and I'm holding the Alt key to kind of make these planes of interest. And then it's going to come down into here and come into here. Then it's going to come in here. I want this to dig in, dig in, dig in, dig in. So in essence, I'm going to want this portion right here, right, that we have here. I want that to kind of dig in a little bit. So in essence, I'm going to switch to masking instead. And then just kind of make a little bit of a border. Something like this. That's good enough. And then in masking, I'm going to say mask the region. Okay, and then I can get just that area masked. And then I'm going to take this. Let's inverse this, actually. And I kind of want this to kind of just push in. Kind of want to start having that happen. I'm going to inverse that. I'm going to Control W that. So we get a polygroup like this, right? Then I'm going to grow this out once, twice. Let's go twice. Then I'll polygroup that up. And then I'm going to say, okay, let's now take the red. Let's grow that out to about there. And I don't need the green. We'll polygroup that up as well. So now I have something like this. Okay, now I go back to my smoothing brush, right? I can kind of smooth things. I'm going to Dynamesh it so it's a little more dense so I don't lose this. But I think what I really want to do is I kind of want just this to be more like a softer push in. All right, so we'll blur, oops, we'll blur this. Well, I got the polygroups. We'll blur this up. And then I'm just going to slowly push this in. And then I'm going to go more of smoothing. And this time, let's take off this. And I want this to be more of a subtle, kind of slow push into this chest. I think it's too much. I think I went extreme. And this is an exact reason why, guys, I'm doing the workflow I'm doing. I don't like this. So I'm not trying to do something very, very hard surface right now, like perfect. I kind of just, that's good enough for me. You know what? I just want a little subtle. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to just naturally, okay, again, I was going to use the other feature, but since I'm almost done, just subtly, just push it in a little bit, not a ton. And then now I will kind of, I want this to be a little more soft coming through here. Or is some kind of subtle indentation there? Yeah, something more along that lines. Then I can use H polish now. These defining points of interest, I can use H polish to kind of now, these lines that are important to me that I established with the Damien standard brush is now I'm just going to accent them a little bit more, just so I'm really seeing, okay, where am I going with this design? Am I getting what I want from this design, where I'm hoping to go with it? Like, I'm not a fan of that right there. I need to fix that for sure. Okay. We're going to come this route, then we're going to come this way just to find that a little bit more. And then this is fine. I like that. I like that. What I don't like is this little indentation that's happening. So I'm going to switch to my move brush, right? And then I'm just going to hold the Alt key and just pull this all out a lot more. Just bring this off the chest a little bit more. And again, I'm going to switch back to H polish and now just refine that a little bit. Not too crazy. Damien standard this now and really kind of just accent, making sure that I know as I move down, this is going to become a little bit of a ridge. Okay, something a little bit more along that line. Actually, I would probably even go, I'm going to switch to move infinite. And I'm going to go, let's just get this line a little bit more where I want it. Look again, I'm looking at my silhouette too at the same time. There. I want to live a little bit more in that realm. Okay, good. Brush, Damien standard. I really want to make sure that this is going to be understood as being its own separate kind of item unit, if you will, from everything else on him. Let's really push that idea as I continue to design this. So I'm just going to dig into this surface a little bit more and more and more. Okay. Right, so this to me is kind of some one big piece, and now I need something for the shoulder. And I'm going to play with the back and the neck a little bit. Okay. So I'm thinking, again, I'm just trying to do a bust. So I'm going to just use the idea of just stick with the delt, right? Just, this is going to be a shoulder piece that just comes across, comes around, and it just meets there. Right, some kind of shoulder mechanism piece. Okay, and I'm going to add an element like this that comes across. So I'm going to play with this idea so the shoulder can actually bend. In essence, I'm going to put some kind of like hinging thing here, maybe. Something like that, right? Okay, and in fact, it doesn't hurt to actually put that in there. Like, I'm thinking something like this, that these are going to be separate pieces. And then there'll be some kind of like little hinge thing in here, right? Something just like that. Okay, I'm trying to see everything that I can here, okay? Brush, Damien Standard. I'm gonna go this route. Yeah, so I am now going to, let's start chiseling away. I'm going to use the curve, clip curve, and I'm going to say the torso will start doing stuff like this instead. Right? And then I am going to, for the sake of what I'm doing, get rid of that part of the arm even too. So, and then let's... Okay, and then it comes around like this. Let's just now get rid of this. There we go. Now let me sculpt this back. And then this is why I'm doing certain things that I am doing, is I'm just trying to establish some parts of him right now. Right? And then I'm going to stick with the torso being kind of more squared there, there, there. Okay. Like this. Then let's H polish this up. I'm going to hold the Alt key. And in essence, I want to now carry that line, right? Down maybe his body. Right, and it is experimenting. All right, everybody, it is not always going to be, oh yeah, that, like this is kind of, I like this kind of thing that's happening here actually. Just kind of almost like adding an element of ab-like thought process here, like this guy actually had abs, kind of a thing in here. And again, I'm not trying to be perfect here. I'm just trying to get a general concept here of where I want to take this guy. Where do I want to go with him? Okay, I like this in the back, but I'm going to play with this, I think. I'm going to kind of duplicate this, and this is where, okay, I got polygroups in places, so I'm going to split this off now and make this, and we'll make this one, rename back, I don't even know, item, we'll call it a back item. All right, and then I'm going to center this. Let's center it in the dead center, and let's get rid of that body, and let's use a cube. And let's play with this idea now. Just because I think the silhouette needs some fun here. And he's going to have some kind of interesting mechanism, maybe that's kind of almost like a backpack for him. Okay, I don't hate that right now. Okay, maybe I could probably go a little bit more further back here, because I'm going to play with that line right there a little bit too. Okay, and I don't want it to go too high. Okay, let's now Dynamesh that. And now let's play with this piece. Okay, again. There we go. Then I'm going to switch to bevel arc. And I want to see, what if, with the silhouette, what if I do this and make it kind of have an arch like so? Do I prefer that? Kind of like that. Or do I prefer, you know, which one do I prefer? I kind of like the arc. I'm going to stick with the arc. I like the arc. I like the arc. I like the arc. Okay, I'm okay with that. I like that. Kind of starting. Okay, let's play with this. I don't want this to be so obtrusive and so a little bit too much happening here. So let's think about, do I want it to be somewhere about that deep on his back? I'm going to go that deep. And then now, how do I want this to slowly, you know, come in to the body slowly? Like, do I want something like this? I'm thinking probably yes. Or do I want something like that? Or do I want to take, say, this, and let's use a really oval kind of shape here. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with a little more control here. I think I'm going to go here. And I think I do, like, kind of slowly taper out like this a little bit. No, don't like that. I'm just experimenting now. Oops. Okay, I'm going to go that route. Okay, I like that. Good there. Then I think down here is now where I do play with a little bit more of the... I can go flat there. Create some structure in there. All right. And do I want it to stay this wide now? Or do I also want to come in this way and start playing with the idea more like that? Do I want... And then this is where it's not necessarily a silhouette. It's more of a... You know, now that I think about it, you know what I do see here. Okay, I'm going to save this out so I've got a version of this saved for me. So let me... Where's my mouse? Save this out. Again, let me know if you guys have stuff. I'm constantly looking at the chat. I'm going to call this... I'm just going to call this Johnny V. Johnny V. And we'll save it to... Where's my mouse? Where's my mouse? Let me save it to this folder. Okay, Johnny V. All right, there. Okay, so yeah, I'm debating, right? Because then I'm doing stuff like this, right? Okay, interesting. But I kind of want to try something else. I'm going to switch the knife. I'm going to turn on split the parts. And I have found this has been a really fun thing for me to try, experimenting, where I kind of cut it off. And now I have these. I'm going to center these. I'm going to turn local on over here. Look up here. But I'm going to turn this dynamic subdiv. Dynamic part off. And I'm going to center this, right? So that each gizmo is centered. And then what if I did something more like this? Okay. And what I want to turn, make sure symmetry's on. And what if I did something more, it's kind of more of a layered element. And I've been finding this has been something I really like to put in some of my hard surface stuff. And I'm definitely seeing that. And to that point, I already see something along here. So what I'm going to now do is I'm going to take, because of this, I'm going to take this piece and make this kind of also be a different polygroup. Okay, so I'm going to make that be a different polygroup. Okay, something like that. And then I'm going to, you know what, we'll just keep it all the same polygroup. And then we are going to start to use now, again, looking at Dynamesh. I can turn the groups on so that when I read Dynamesh, that purple stays the purple. But right now, I kind of see something that could be interesting I want to play with as well. So I'm going to slice, slicey curve about, I think I'm going to go about there. Okay, that works for me. And then I'm going to come back to the red. And let's use the slice rectangle this time. And I'm going to go right about there. And let's go ahead and mirror and weld that over. Oh, I want the other side. So I'm going to mirror it first. And then mirror and weld. Okay. And I want to take this now and play with this thing. And do I want to just, you know, extract this out? So we have something like this now. Adds a little bit another element to that silhouette and all angles. Or do I want to just come in here and then just push it in instead? You know, do I want something more like that? Or do I want to take this clip and then just, oops, take this clipping brush as an example and just let's just clip from here to here so it does that. I kind of like the first one better for me. I prefer the little bit of the raised surface with a little bit of an angle. I'm preferring that for me. Okay. Let's take a look at this. All right. Let's grow this out. Let's hide this. Control W. All right, so we have something like that. All right, I'm going to turn the groups off now because I don't want it to make points. And now because of that, I am going to split this off. Okay, and this is a small piece of the backpack area. This is interesting. What if we took this and whoops. What if we inflate that just a bit? What would that look like? Where are you? Inflate. Do I want to go out? In? It's got some ridge to it as well. Okay. I kind of like that idea. So let's do something here to make this. Oh, I see we got another polygroup in there that I forgot about. That we don't need that bad. We don't need those bad boys. Yeah, we don't need those. We don't need those. Okay. So I am just going to look at, then I'll just use knife for this. And I'm just going to flatten this part again. And I'm doing that because then this, I want this to become its own subtool. I mean, not its own subtool, its own polygroup. Sorry. All right, it is not liking something about this. Everything shown. Do have knife. Okay, interesting. Oh, I have split the parts still on. So, like, what is happening? All right. And then now I'm going to take this and let's clean this up a little bit. We got a clean side on this. let's take this and let's switch to slice. Slice curve. Let's do something like that. And now I have this. Let's go ahead and there's multiple ways we can go about that. I'm going to go this way. Okay, so now we have that. How's that looking on his body? Okay. Working for me. All right. I know I'm definitely going to want to do something here. I don't like that being just so perfectly flat like that. So I'm going to start to play with that. Okay, this I think I want to make this have a little bit of, yeah, more that realm. For sure. Okay, good, 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 good. Good. All right, good, good. Okay. As the base and looking at my silhouettes. Okay, I'm liking where I'm heading right now with him. We don't need, I'm literally just doing a torso. So we don't need any of the other parts down there. Let's use knife instead. So it just creates a cleaner result for me. There we go. And actually, I'm intrigued. This is interesting. Do I actually... Nah. Nah. Interesting, but not correct. Not the way you want to go here. Okay. All right. Continue kind of refining this more. Okay. All right. Now let's get back up to the head. Now that I'm kind of starting to build this torso, this thought process of what I'm going to have him maybe become. Okay, I'm going to continue now. Let's go play with the head a little bit here. So again, in the spirit of what we're looking at, Johnny number 5, let's take some of the things that Johnny, obviously the eye part is really what he's also known for. The lips are what he's known for, and the eyebrow, the brows, right, is because it's very interactive if you watch the movie. So let's take some of that inspiration for sure. I'm going to take this and say, let's take just this cube, okay? Which again, the faster way to do this is hold control when you're in Gizmo and then boom, and then everything gets masked off but this cube. It's the only thing that doesn't get masked off, okay? But I'm going to say, let's take this and let's take a cylinder. Let's go in symmetry mode and then literally just give him the eyes. Okay, now do I want to kind of offset these eyes? How far into the head do I want them to sit, or how far out of the head do I actually want them to sit? Right, you can see Johnny's is like somewhere around in that range, right? And then the head comes way out, like the eyes come way out like that, right? Do I want that? I definitely prefer it off in a different area. Okay, definitely, for sure, something I'm interested in here. Okay, that's not bad. Can see that for sure. Okay, so now when we read Dynamesh, right, these again, even though they didn't look at, they're different polygroups. Okay, I'm going to start playing with the head a little bit more now. So let's take this. We'll turn off symmetry so I can do this. And say, now, do I want to do something more? All right, and then I'm going to hold the Alt key and tap there so I can kind of, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a mohawk! maybe do I want to make the head even bigger? Like, is this more? I think that's too big. I think that's getting too big. And I think I only want a subtle kind of maybe something here. All right. And I'm going to now hold Alt key and say, okay, I want it to actually also sit there. So I want it to come off just a little bit here. Reverse that, we'll Control W that, so it doesn't ever weld with what I'm trying to do. Okay, and then is this where I start doing stuff like that? Or do I want to do more of an arc here? I don't know until I try. So let's give it a try. Let's just maybe continuing a little bit what we're doing in the body down below. And then maybe do I want to also maybe even here do some kind of arc element? Okay, but I only want... Okay, so what I want is I want this. And then now do my arc. I think maybe what it would look like if we continued that arc through the whole front of the face. Like instead. So silhouette wise, it'll still have that squared silhouette, right? But then when you're looking at 3/4, let's go a little bit more extreme. I'm not sure yet, right? I'm just not sure yet. I'm experimenting. This is normally where let's get some music going. I'm going to make a line across here. So this is why I also like to work this way, because then I can have that line carry on through the both. Okay, do I want to even make a line here? Like soften that up a little bit? Yeah, I think so. I'm going to soften that up a little bit. Okay. And then this, I don't know about this yet. I don't know if I'm liking this yet. Like, is it more interesting if I, whoops, yeah, I do this? I'm not 100% sold, but I think I like it better than that. I also would like to see, you know what, let's try one thing here. I want to do a little quick experiment here and see what this is going to look like. All right, let's put it in the center. Let's use project primitive. Let's also, I haven't saved in a bit, so let's do a save next so we can save it. And let's do a little bit of a deformation here, but let's be more squared. I don't want it down here. I only want it here. Just some kind of, would it be more interesting? Or did I have? I had symmetry on. Yeah, let's turn symmetry off. And then let's Not make it so prominent. I don't know yet, man. You guys are along for my ride yet. I'm just experimenting with this right now and seeing what would this look like. Right now it's getting the other shapes as well. Nah, I don't like that. I'm not sure yet. Okay, so I want to try one thing. Let's just delete this for now. I don't want it to do anything. Let's take this piece. Okay, let's take this and split this off for now, for one thing. Let's split it. Let's turn this off. Let's go back to this. Okay, we're centered. Do I maybe just like... something very much more subtle. Okay, there's another piece of geometry or something here making that. I gotta go find that. This will change the whole shape. Silence is not golden for us. Just playing around. Welcome to creativity. It's like I'm using ZBrush as like my designer now, right? Okay, that's kind of getting interesting. See, like it's happy little mistakes sometimes that makes, you know, something pop a little bit more. That I don't know, kind of like that a little bit better. Kind of like the subtle changes here and the subtle changes there. We're gonna go with this. I'm feeling this right now. Okay. But we are also remembering we gotta make sure this is maintained as the same polygroup, right? Because I'm dynameshing. We don't want, and then these need to stay the same polygroup. Okay. Okay. Let's keep playing a little bit more here. Let's take now these. Now I do want symmetry on. Let's center them. And I actually need to replace them because I edited them a little bit. I'm going to make the blue arrow so that when I do replace it, it's already looking forward for me. Let's size those down again. Now with that idea in the design, okay, I think I'm going to go this route. Okay, I'm going to end it. Let's go, I think I want to go smaller. Somewhere around there. And go in, and then we'll make them smaller. Right, just to start to give us a little bit of maybe what I'm going to do with these eyes. Okay, and let's inverse it. Control W, so that way I can make sure those stay separate polygroups. So there's this does not weld, this does not weld, does not weld, but nothing's welding together is what I'm trying to do now, right? Let's play with the mouth. Let's take a little bit of inspiration here from Johnny number 5. Okay, so I am going to say let's go ahead and mask off from here, going back. And do I want to go all the way back? In essence, do I want to do this and it goes through the whole character? It's interesting though. Okay, so what if we then, we're going to turn the torso off for now. Or I can do this and then it stops. And actually, looking at this mask, maybe I don't think I want it as big. Decisions. All right, and then just like him a little bit, I want to create a little bit also another layering here. I definitely would like to do that. So let's think about this. Let's see, what can I do? What do I want to do here? I think I'm going to go now. Let's go this route. Let's go this route, turn symmetry off. We'll center that. We'll put it up here. I want a cube here. Let's play with a cube. Kind of make another change here that can be used, which again, they kind of did right here too, right? Because that's what their eyebrows are attaching to. And I think I want to take that same idea a little bit and play with that idea. And then not sure yet, right? I'm not sure if I'm sold on this. You know what? I want to see, turn our symmetry back on. We got the bevel arc. What if we also arc this side too? I don't know. I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I like it. What if that's becoming kind of more the mouth? Then I got like this and then happening again. I kind of got a double thing happening there. And then I would say I want it to only be like this, and then I only want it to, whoops, and then I only want it to be maybe like this. I don't know if I'm sold on any of this yet. I'll be honest with you. Don't know. Don't know if I'm sold on any of this. Let's bring the torso back, and I kind of want to play with the thought of there are pistons just like he has. Wonder what we can do with that. So we could do an insert here, turn on symmetry. We want those to live there. Okay, maybe just a smidge larger. Something like that. Then we'll say we'll do this. And then we'll do this. Do a little bit smaller. Just a little bit of a ridge. Something like that maybe. And then let's just see. Let's play a little bit here with these pistons ideas, okay? So what I'm going to do is, let's go back to before let's duplicate these. It's at the top. Let's make them really long so that we can look at silhouette wise. Now, do I want the pistons to connect there? Like up here, or do I want them to connect way down there? Which means they also have to do this. Like, do I want to go all the way down to the neck area, bottom of the neck for this? I think it might be a little, that might be a little aggressive. I think more right here. Isn't a little bit more, I think, interesting. Like connect there. Kind of come off a little bit, and then there's some. So I'd want it to kind of live in that realm. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, okay. I'm not hating it. I'm not hating it. Let's solo this out. Let's move it to there. So I can do this. Down, size this up. And so it would live like this. Maybe something like that. Then let's make another one, but this time let's turn it into a sphere. And then I'm gonna want to do probably more of like a, whoops, hemisphere, like this. Something more like that. Then, before we Dynamesh, let's rip these off actually. Rename them neck pistons. Again, I am just trying to put something together that could be interesting to have, okay? And then I would say the pistons, right? So if we look at, let's take this, let's make this its own polygroup. Let's just quickly make auto groups of this. So in the polygrouping, we'll do auto groups, so each one gets their own polygroup. I kind of want them to be the same, so I'm just going to use mirror and weld right now. So we got something like this. And then these should have, right? So if we look, say right at this area, right? Something in there that could be interesting. So let's take ZModeler and let's take these faces, polyloop them. Let's go polygroup, polygroup. Let's see how high we're going to want to go here. Polygroup. Then let's Q mesh it. Polygroup all. Right? And in the grand scheme of things, if this is pulling down, this should be more than the skinnier part, right? It should be less because the piston needs to move in and out through there. So right now there's not enough, right? So I need to, let's just use Q mesh now. Oops, let's do a face, Q mesh, polyloop. And let's just, whoops, pull this out, sorry. And then now I can just tap in the direction of the polyloop that I want this to go. And we'll do this something more like that, I think makes more sense. Right, and then this will end up, I don't want to get too much in the weeds right now. I'm just trying to look at the model as a whole right now and seeing if I'm making something that makes sense. Okay? That's all I'm trying to do right now. I'm definitely going to fix this. Definitely going to play with that. So let's play with that. So let's size this up. Let's reset this. Let's bring it more out like this. And I think we are going to need a little something like we did down here, I think. Would make sense for me. Some kind of circle element. Something like that. But then it also up a little bit more. And then now let me take this guy. Let's just mask this out, inverse that mask. Oops. Let's solo this out. And what I want to do is move this down more into that world. And I think what we need to also do is let's change a little bit of where this sits upstairs, up there. Oops, but I want to mask those off. I'll just have this sit kind of in a different spot into that sphere. Have it just sit somewhere a little different. And I think let's go a little bit bigger with this. And let's bring it more this direction. All right. Let's go put this in the center. Whoops. Let's move these to the center of that. So now I'm at the spherical, is in essence my socket, and now that way I can position these a little bit more where I want them to be. More like that. Right, okay. Actually, I want them to come a little bit more forward, kind of, prefer a little bit more forward, okay. All right, so now we have this. That is making sense. Okay. We're slowly working here. Slowly working. Why is your ZBrush says male? Is there a female version? Yeah, it says male because I started with the male model, Zammy. So I started in here with the projects. I started with this male. So that's what's taken on the project name. That's the project name in the top left corner. And see, there's a female right here. So when you load a project, the name up here in the top left is the male project in essence. Okay. All right, so I think we got something going here. But again, you know, I might have went down the rabbit hole a little too much because also in my head, I was trying to think of, I want to put a jacket on this guy is what I really also wanted to do. I kind of might want to just, you know what, just because I want to, let's go back to this guy. Let's duplicate him. And let's do the idea here where I wanted to do a jacket, okay? And let's just start cutting some stuff off here. So I'm going to temporarily turn off like this and this, right? The back item. Look at that happy little steak. It looks interesting. It looks like this could actually go on this guy. Oh man, the world we live in. Okay. Kind of works, doesn't it? So I am now going to come here and I'm going to say, I want to make a jacket probably for him. All right. So I am going to get rid of the head. I haven't saved. I'm going to do a save next. All right, let's get rid of the head, and I'd want it probably to live right around there. Maybe even a little bit lower. Yeah, maybe around, yeah, let's just say around there. Okay, that looks good. Good. Okay. Let's go ahead and think about this now. Let me go do this. Okay. Let's remesh this. I want to get lower polygons now. So I'll just use ZRemesher to help me out. I'm going to use the keep groups option. I'll keep symmetry on for now. Let's remesh this. Okay. I'm going to go lower now. Let's remesh that. I want to just keep going a little bit lower. Okay, that's not bad. I think this might work for us. It might stay in this round. Let's stay in this round. Okay, now let's only get the red portion. Then I'm going to say let's delete the rest. I'm going to delete it, get rid of that. I'm going to split this down the middle. So let's do an insert single edge. All right, so let's just do this. And I'm going to now delete these faces down the middle. Okay. All right, and then now I'm going to start kind of making what's in my head for the shape that I kind of want to start doing here. All right, so let's use the move topological now. All right, turn off symmetry because I kind of want to have a jacket. It kind of starts to come down. Going to come over the other portion. So it starts doing stuff like this. going to refine this, but I'm just going to keep using this shape a little bit. Okay. Really comes down. And I want this to come this way. We're going to switch now to the smooth, where are you? Smooth cloth. And that way I can kind of play with this, what I'm hoping to do here with this silhouette for the jacket opening. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, so now let's turn on the other body. Let's see what we got going on. Let's see what we got going on. All right, so this jacket needs to come up more. We just size it up a little bit more. Okay, and then I am going to want kind of it to come off. Now it looks like he's in a hospital gown. Yeah, buddy! Alright, so kind of brush move. Let's do, where are you? Topological. We'll again use that move topological. Thinking something like, I don't know, we'll see once I put in something that I want to put in here, if this is going to work or not for me. Okay, I'm going to remesh it again now. Okay, there, that's what I want. Okay, don't like that. I'll have to fix that. I don't like what's happening right there. Not a fan of that at all. What if I remesh it again? What do I get? Yep, keeps giving me that. So, all right, we'll fix it. This is kind of what I want. This edge is really important to me. This edge right here. Okay, so in my head, I'm thinking of collar. I'm going to make a unique type of collar for this guy. So let's use some benefits here. I'm just thinking what's going to be my best way to go about this for me. Let's switch to Z Modeler. So I say from down here, oops, across to there, and then I say we'll go that far. Let's get these all, oops. Then we'll say extrude, and we'll say we'll extrude these out. I want this big kind of collar. So let's take these. All right. Let's take this group. And let's inverse. Let's flip these. Maybe not flip them. So let's look at it in this sense now. Instead of flipping them, let's now break this off. Let's do this. Let's break this off. split it. Rename, we'll call it jacket. All right, and then rename color. Okay, let's do a dynamic on this. Let's also dynamically give it a little bit of some thickness. And maybe for now, we'll just look at it more in this sense. Okay, I think that's going to be enough thickness. We don't want a lot. I don't want a lot. That's thick enough. Okay, so now let's refine this shape. I want it definitely in the back to come up higher. Let's turn on transparency. I want this a lot higher. And coming through there, coming through there. You're going to see why I want it this way. Let's see. When you have a project, one of the subtools doesn't have to have the name to save it. Nope, it doesn't. When you're saving a project, the file now is the name. So it doesn't rename any of the subtools. Only a tool renames the top subtools. But a project does not do that. A project is, it's the project name. Is what it is. Is what it is. Okay, okay, okay. That's looking a little bit better. Okay, I want this to kind of now come this direction a little bit more. Open that up. Open the jacket up a little bit more. We can turn off transparency now because I just want to see this. Whoops. And then this, I'm going to really lay flat. I want this to start laying way flatter. Looks like I got some geometry I need to fix there. And let's make this lay a lot flatter. And same thing here. I want all these to start laying a little bit more flat. This is coming up into his. And then these need to get a little bit more tighter. So does this. Let's look at this geometry, what's happening in here. Okay, let's get rid of this then. I don't like this, so. Let's turn dynamic off. Let's turn our display double on so I can see what is happening here. Okay. Okay, so that piece of geometry. This one is a problem child. Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of you. Rid of you. And then I can just extrude this out now to be something like that. And then I will slide this way over so it's also tapering then. And then now we've got something like this. All right, so it's still there, still there. All right, so then if this part of the jacket, let's give this be some thickness. Let's take a look at this. All right, we'll make it smooth and add some thickness now to it. I'll go a little bit thick on the jacket. And then now this, looking good. Let's now dynamically do that. And I want to keep this kind of at that level. All right, so it looks like I need to start pulling these points in. Let's go transparency. these now need to meet the jacket again. They're not meeting the jacket anymore. So I want this to sit. All right. Okay. And this is going to be a little bit more equally done across. This is why also the thickness is that dynamic has is just so crucial, right? You can kind of, I can play with a thin plane as I'm doing this, which is what I prefer to do. Okay, and then now this is to come here and out like this. All right, this one, so move topological. I want this one to kind of move there and be more like that. Yeah, a little something more like that. It's fine, 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 fine. It's going to get smooth. Okay. Okay, I think I've got my original thought here in play. Look at my topology. Just going to refine my edges a little bit. That's good. Good, 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 good. Goody, 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 goody. Okay. I am now going to apply the thickness. Now we don't need any thickness. Now in essence what I'm going for is this, right? And then I am going to crease by a poly group. I'm going to hold that creasing for a little bit. Let's go with a creasing of 2. Dynamic, we got at 5 right now. So now we have something like this happening. Okay. Now let's start putting a little bit of what's in my head here. Okay, just for the sake of, for me, I'm just going to duplicate this. And what I want to do now is I'm going to look at each of these while it's still low. Okay. The green poly group. Oops. This one. Right? I am going to say, let's see how well this works. So you can do group visible, but I can tell it make different poly groups. Okay, so I'm going to go lower. See if I can find the right number. That's okay, and I want no clustering. Okay. Getting there. We want, what does 0.1 do with no clustering? Okay, D. It's like a piano. All right, good. All right, I want different polygroups for each one of these planes and faces is in essence what I want. And if some of them are just not right, then I can use ZModeler. I don't know if those are the same. Fine. Okay. So now that I have all of these, let's now go ahead, turn on our dynamic. So we'll have this. Each one of them are different. Okay, I'm going to apply this now and turn this into real topology. So now that we have something like this. All right, and then I'm going to say, let's hide this, let's hide this. Let's only look at these polygroups. We'll see if I'm dense enough. Let's find out. Then I'm going to go into the edge looping, and I'm going to do group loops. I think it's a little too aggressive with the polishing. I'm going to go way less polishing. And I'm going to group loops that. Yeah, I think that's looking right where I want it to be. I'm thinking for sure. I am going to now, let's do a crisp edge looping, okay? So let's do this, let's do this. Okay, let's hide this. So these are all into little individual islands now. Let's crisp it and let's make it come off the surface. Let's go more than that. Might be a little too much, and I don't like, okay, I still got a row here that I don't want. I want something probably more there in that realm. Now these can be the same polygroup. Right, so now I have this. So we got this as a polygroup, 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 okay. And then we'll make this its own polygroup. And now this, let's knock, well, that's a little too aggressive probably. No, we definitely need more. Nope. I'm thinking, actually, what's in my head could work. Yum, 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 yum. Okay. Let's do it. And then I want that new middle portion here that's made. I'm going to go ahead and turn off crisp and hit edge loop so I can get another edge loop there. We'll shrink it down. Oh, let's see, did I, yeah, oh, I still have this. We don't want that portion. We don't want that. Yeah. Okay, so edge loop it. There we go. Shrink it. Edge loop it. Okay. Just need some spans in here. And then those can be that. And now what I want to do is take these, mask it out. It might not be dense enough for this. Okay, so I'm going to give it one thing of polish. Looks like I think I need to go a little bit more. Let's go polish these up. Quite a bit, actually. Then I want to, okay, we're looking at this. And then I want these to actually inflate out a little bit. So we'll save next. And so because I put that geometry in them, maybe I didn't need that geometry, I'm going to do an inflate balloon. Yes. I'm looking more for something like closer to that style. All right, and then now I'm intrigued if I do a polish. We can polish off. Now we got, this is a part of the jacket now that I'm making for him. And now let's take this side and let's do the same thing here. Let's go to crisp, displacement out. Okay, not so much. Might be a little too much. I think there, that's about what I want. So when I divide, let's get rid of this creasing. Where are you, uncrease? And then when we go to divide up, we get something more like this. And let's see what we got dynamically. We want no thickness. We got smoothing. Great. We can have no creasing. And I'm going to play with this actually. I am going to get rid of some of these edge loops. Many of them actually, because I want this to soften up even more. Let's see now if I go this far down the rabbit hole. Yeah, I'm looking more for something more in that realm. All right, and then I want, oh, that's interesting what happened in there. Look at that. Huh, interesting. So let's try, let's see what just smoothing will do for us. If not, we'll use a relax. Let's do a little bit of a smooth. All right, let's try relax. There we go. We'll use a relax. Relax is more. There we go. There, happy little trees. Happy little trees. That way when we turn dynamic on. There we go. All right. Then I want to have some kind of other ridge right here. Okay, going around here. So this portion right here now. This right here. Let's do a polygroup, polyloop. And then look at only this. It's going around the whole thing. Brush, curve, tube. Let's do a framing by polygroup now. So now I get that. And I don't want symmetry on. Make sure symmetry is not on. Okay, symmetry is off. And then now, how big of a tube? Oops, how big of a tube do I want? Going around, I'm going to hide the masking so I can have a better understanding of this. Turn on dynamic. Maybe a little bit bigger. Yeah, I think I like the little bit bigger one. What do you guys think? I'm thinking the little bit of bigger one is more interesting. I think 3 is a good number for this jacket. Yeah, I'm thinking that. Yeah, cause I'm going to turn this into like a puffy jacket is what I'm thinking where I'm going with this. Because now that I've done this, right? See, this is what I'm saying where I've wasted my time in the back. Like, really all I needed was the head, right? To mess around and manipulate and play with, right? Which, that's okay. This is a journey. I want to say that's good. I kind of like that. I'm kind of good with that. And then this, we will start to push all of this in. And then now we'll start going more on more of the jacket. Oh, I must have. Okay, I still have masking on. Now we're going to refine this even more. We'll carry that tube through here as well. So what I mean by that is curved tube. Let's take this guy now. All right. And let's go ahead. Let's apply this. Let's use the poly grouping now that we can do. Here, let's solo this out so I'm only looking at this jacket portion. Let's make that be the same poly group. And then for the sake of what I'm doing right now, I'll make this be its own poly group. Let's only look at these two poly groups. We want brush curve, we're in it. We want the draw size to be 3. We're going to go ahead and do again that framing by the poly group. And let's show everything so I can see it all coming together. And then that is that. Right, and then we'll play with that some more. Okay, let's now take only this now. Let's break this off. We don't need that because I'm going to cut the arms off. I'm going to do like a really more of a busty kind of a thing. So let's go ahead and delete hidden. All right, and then now let's look at just the jacket. Let's take this, let's split this off. Okay, and then let's think about this. Let's get a reference. All right, let's get a reference here. No questions. You guys are quiet today. Very quiet today. All right. Let me see. All right. Okay. I guess it's going to be how puffy do I want to go with this? Okay. So let's now establish the jacket a little bit more here. Hold on. The website I was on is like, ask me for 1 million questions that I don't care about. Okay, so now my question will be, we need to make now some stuff in here that will make sense for us. All right, so let's just first use the topology at our disposal here. Okay, that's interesting. No dynamics, no subdivision levels, brush the modeler. So somewhere in here, we're going to want a poly group. That in essence is the shoulder section. And then I want to do the same thing over here. But we got somewhere where the shoulder would be the seam line, in essence, of a shoulder. Okay, and then now let's only look at this poly group. I'm gonna shrink it because I'm gonna go a little bit bigger. And you're gonna make sure none of that. Whoops, none of that. Okay, Control W. Okay, so we've got that seam happening. So that is a very defining seam. Now, there would usually be another seam across here as well, right? In some clothing. Let's take a look at something I am looking at online right now. Let's see if we got... okay, yeah, we'd want a seam along the back, it looks like, this particular jacket. And a seam in the down the arm. Let's see what this one looks like. And that one doesn't have it down the back. But we are going to need one for sure down the arm and along the top. All right, let's look at a couple other ones. Sorry, you guys aren't seeing what I'm looking at. I'm just looking at some examples of some little poofier jackets that's in my head. Okay, that's... all right, so, you know, and this is where I'm thinking of, you know, how jackets are made, which really is, honestly, it's like doing UVs is what it is, right? So, let me now... all right, so now I am going to want, realistically, there needs to be a seam here. Okay, so same thing. Let's get going that direction. There's a seam there. All right, and then I need one on the top here. So I'm gonna go here, there, there, there. Okay. So those are my one sets of seams that I have. So now let's break this off like so. Okay, I need it on the other side as well, obviously. So I need seam going down that direction. Okay, and then I need a seam going in the middle of the arm here. Zoom in that direction. Okay, so we have stuff all set. Okay, so now if I look at these purples, I should be able to auto group these and they all get different polygroups. Okay, great. That's what we want. All right. And then now I'm going to look at... this is going to be a test. I think we're going to need to do a test on this and see. I think we got to go a little bit of the way we did in here. Putting a little bit more thickness in these cuts I'm about to do, I think is what we're going to need to do. All right, so let's look at just the jacket now area. Let's switch to slice. Let's turn on B radius so that when I slice across, I get a radius. I think this is way too big. I would like even say maybe even a radius of 1. Maybe 2. Let's see what 2 looks like. Let's turn off line, so all we're looking at is polygroups. So if I do something like, let's do a quick little test, just in this area of the jacket. Let me do a test. All right. So if we take now, we got this, we got that. Let's add now some thickness. Right, we got some thickness. I think that's way too thick for right now for what I want. 0.003. Let's bring it down a notch. 0.002. I just want to get something here. I don't want any smoothing to happen right now. I'm good on that. Let's apply that. And again, let's turn the line on. And again, I want to take this, this, right? And, whoops. We'll mask these off. And this is why I want to see. I don't know if this is going to be thick enough. So now, deformations. Let's do a little bit, save next. And then let's go ahead and deformations. Let's inflate out just a little bit. And then let's polish it. Yeah, so see, it's definitely not thick enough. I need clean cuts right here, is what I need. I need some defining clean cuts. So definitely not thick enough. So brush, whoops, I think we are gonna need to go with like maybe like where it was, the size of 8. I think that's a little too extreme. Let's go size. Let's go with size of 6. I think a size of 4 is fine. Let's do some quick tests here. Okay, and now we're going to take that. Yeah, I think there we go. I think now that's going to be large enough. So I'm going to inflate it out just a bit. And then we'll polish it a little bit. And then now this is where also what I'm thinking is we're going to use some of the cloth brushes here. Kind of put some little wrinkling in here. So like the nudge might be just the bright brush. Yes. Yeah, so I think the nudge is going to be the brush that we can start doing stuff with. But I also could, right, this, in essence, this is what's in my head, right? This is where I'm trying to go. Then I can say, we are going to need a collision state. And then I'm going to expand. No gravity. Right? And then run it. Yeah, I think we're going to be better off not using the algorithm that way. I think we're going to be better off using the brushes themselves. The cloth brushes themselves. I might need to make one. Cloth slide. Yeah, I don't like that. We want to start making some wrinkles in there. So I got to find the right brush that I want to use. Like Hook is my favorite. Right, but it's a little too aggressive for this, but I might use Hook as like a base. And then just use Move, maybe. This is where the nudge is coming in probably better. Because the nudge will just... Right, but if I switch this to Move, brush Move, let's turn on Cloth Ability for the brushes. Is it samples? No, it's in elasticity. Here we go. Simulations, and so can start and then smooth down. And this will give me an opportunity. Might want to try inflate here too. Now, I'm going to find a way that I can make it be more automated. Okay, but what we've determined here is I know the width I want now, right? So I wanted a brush size, what was I at? Well, we knew what I wanted. I was 4. I was at a 4. Okay, so I'm going to say, how really kind of a puffiness do I want? So I'm going to stay in this kind of relative realm. Not too much, but go a little bit higher. All right, and then go. Let's now take this and go, okay, we'll make one that goes here. We need to come across the chest for sure, so we'll come across the chest. Come across the chest again. All right, and maybe one more. Maybe I'll do another one like right here. So that's those, and then now this one. We'll do at least one. Here, let's do one like that, and then we'll do one more on both sides, and then one more. Okay, and then let's make all of the interior parts be one polygroup. And then now I can also make the rainbow of other ones one polygroup as well. And I can also use ZBrush probably to help me out getting better topology, which is something I need to consider doing. Oops. Huh, okay, that's not big enough there, huh? Yes, yes, and yes. Yes, yes. Okay. Let me see. Yes. Okay, there. Yes, yes, yes. Looks like I got all the pieces. So Control W, and then Control W. And now I have set up for what I'm going to do down the pipeline, right? And again, it might be worth just seeing. I'm going to go ahead and just do a ZBrush. I'm going to divide up once, so there's just even a little bit more topology here. And then I'm going to tell it to now, let's turn on this. Let's do the default 5. Keep groups. We don't want symmetry, and remesh it. Let's see what happens. Well, I really went off, right? Yeah, okay, so it's close, but I need to tweak it some more. Okay, I don't think I need to do that. So, all right. So I guess you guys get where I'm trying to go. Then just trying to do some dude, right? That's kind of this mech head with like a jacket on, right? And then I'll do some stuff on the jacket. But I'm planning to just do like a little bust of this. I'm not going crazy with this. Like I'm going to cut the arms off, cut the torso off. I'm definitely going to do things like that to this for sure. But I might as well continue the journey that I'm doing right now to get where I need to go with this guy. All right. Okay, let me save next. So unfortunately, looking at the time, I got to get going. But it looks like you guys are quiet today. Listen to me mumbling and trying to get this piece done. Is there a question? Any questions that I may have missed? There wasn't too many today. or anything that you had specific questions about? Where I'm going, what I'm thinking for this guy? So, you know, I'm looking more for, like, to give you an idea where I'm ended up going. Let's see, I'm going to need some here thickness here. Let's do this. Let's do dynamics. We don't need any smoothing. I guess we can have the smoothing. Right, so this is what's in my head. What I'm thinking here for this guy is here. Let's append. Let's insert, sorry. A cube. Like I'm planning on doing this. Like I'm gonna use like Boolean pieces to kind of create more something like this, and then just so you know where my head's at, doing more of a bust, like this kind of style bust is where I'm going with him. This is my thought process. Something more like this. Let's center this and then just right, and then like this is what I'm thinking. He'll be solid though, like it'll be solid, right? And then I should probably just duplicate this and put it in this folder so we know it's affecting everything, right? So there, this is the route I'm going, more like this. I kind of want to make this just be some kind of little guy that's going to be on my shelf, and I'll pose his head a little bit. And this is where my head is at for the direction that I'm going with this guy. All right. We'll save next on that. Okay. Anything else before we call this done? And I got to bounce myself and get moving. Anybody? While I pause for effect. Like, see, now that I'm at this, I like where this is going. I kind of like the silhouette. I like the head with this jacket. And I think I've got really the base of this guy. I'm going to do more here in the chest, but this is where I'm going. I think I'm going to eliminate. I might still put that back piece on. In fact, what does that look like if I made it punch through the jacket? Yeah, I kind of actually might leave that on there. And then I think I'll play with the cubes. I think I might still leave that on there. It's just another element to him. I kind of, yeah, I think I'm going to go with it. Yeah, I think I'm going to, because I think this cube, this big cube here, this guy, I think we can play with that so that it's more like this is the busted, that's the bust, more like that, which then now I got to, see, I gotta leave or else I'm gonna keep playing. Duplicate this, make that subtractive, and then move that up to there. So then the bust would be more like that. So I can have that back piece still as part of the model. But I think what I need now as well. Oh, see, it's just, I'm not ending this. Oh, boy. Let's take this cube. Let's just make it another polygroup so it just makes our life easier. And in fact, let's dynamesh these. All right, and then I'm gonna say no polish. Let's do groups. Let's do a dynamesh. Okay, good enough. And then these, brush, move, infinite. I kind of want the front end, I want more of the front end to show. I liked when I was having a little bit of that front end show. It looked nice. Yeah, more something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I think something more like that, along those lines. We'll see how much of everything I expose, but I think this is what I'm thinking. And again, this is good for me to do, actually, is what was in my head. Let me actually put it in ZBrush and see what that looks like. And so that way I can really get a gauge of what I'm trying to pull off for this guy. And that's good. I think that's good. Save next. Okay. Alex, yeah, I have tried VR sculpting. I think it's really cool. I think to have like the worldly thing and have that there, it's interesting. But me personally, I don't care for VR at all. So I'm not a good person to talk to because the thing on my face does not feel good to me. My body just immediately starts sweating within like 20-30 minutes. I don't know what it is, like beads of sweat. So it's, the VR headsets are super uncomfortable to me. It is cool, but I think that's what it is more than anything. It's just, okay, it's cool. I would still prefer what I'm doing right now. Just, I'm fine with 2D and then monitor. I don't need the VR capability personally. So that's it. That's, I don't know. That's probably not the answer you want, but that's where it is for me personally. So I don't know if that helps anything at all. Oh, thanks, Flash Nation. Appreciate it. All right, I do have to head out. Unfortunately, I got to get out and get on the road. I got to go pick up my daughter from school. So that has a timetable to it. So I thank you guys all for joining me for this little episode that maybe this also helps. Like, see, I didn't get anywhere near the end, but this is my process, right? I'm just trying to get to the point where, okay, now, yeah, I'm really feeling this now. I'm really digging this model. Now let me finish it off and start tweaking and getting the main kind of cooler components now. I got the main guts of him where I want him, but now I need to start figuring out some more detailed information too. All right, have a fantastic weekend. I am streaming next weekend, so what I'll do is I'll probably just continue on this guy and get him to a finished state that I'm happy with. All right, so have a great weekend. Thank you for tuning in. This has been another episode of Did You Know